Hi guys, welcome back to a brand new piercing horror stories reaction video. Hello guys, what is the tea? What is the Darjeeling? Hopefully you guys are doing fabulous. Now I apologize, it has been a little while since I've done a piercing horror stories video. I did do one last month, I apologize, but we're back now to react to some of your own piercing horror stories. Now I absolutely adore doing these videos. I love hearing your stories. So I've gone on to my previous video and I'm going to read through some of the comments and read through some of your stories from there. You are also very, very welcome to repost the same comment if I haven't read yours out on this video, and maybe in I'm joking. And maybe in my next video, you'll get into the piercing horror stories. So yes, please comment down below your piercing horror stories and maybe we'll get in the next one. But anyway, guys, let's not beat around the bush and get straight on to these horror stories. That was an awful intro, awful. When I was 13, I got my helix pierced in the back of a shady tattoo shop. The man running the place told me to use a lot of iodine salve? Salve? Is that what it is? Iodine salve. What's that? I don't know what that is. I don't know what the properties of this is, but I'm assuming it's probably not good for piercings. And pack my piercings after putting the salve at night. Of course, it became horribly infected, but I kept on religiously following the instructions for several weeks. Oh God, I grew a large bump and the skin on my ear began to tear. Oh no. But that's not the worst of it. In my infinite emo teenager wisdom, I decided to dye my hair, further worsening my piercing's condition by a lot. The next day at school, my close friends ended up bumping it with her head. My ear exploded! My ear exploded all over her hair. I ended up getting my ear surgically corrected, but now I have a huge obnoxious scar. Your ear exploded. What the hell? What the hell? So first of all, like I said, I don't know what this iodine stuff is. I have heard of it before because of The Simpsons, when Bart cuts his arm and then the old woman goes, I'll get the iodine, and then puts iodine and like scalds and burns him. And any of these like harsh chemicals should not be going near fresh piercings. Like there are so many things that you can use on like scratches and things and cuts that you cannot use on piercings. You can't even use like cream stuff, so like Savlon, all that kind of stuff. Don't put that on your piercings either. It's just the idea of like your ear swelling up so bad that it like explodes all over the place. And the smell of that must have been horrific, like all this pus and blood. Absolutely revolting. My piercing made my ear explode. I got the video title from that girl. Painful horror story. Oh, we love to see it. I volunteer at an exotic petting zoo. Wonderful. We can tell where this is going. I volunteer at an exotic petting zoo. We ask people to remove all their piercings before the guided tour for obvious reasons. However, people don't think they'll need to remove piercings that are underneath their clothes. We have a coatimundi. A coatimundi? What's that? Bear with me. This is apparently a coatimundi. Very cute, but it doesn't look like the kind of animal that would kind of climb all over you. So we have a coatimundi who loves to climb into people's clothing. Guests think it's great fun, and he didn't bite. This coati obviously loves to check through people's clothing and pockets for anything he can find. So of course, one time he climbs down a guest's shirt and rips out her nipple ring. Oh my God, it slips. Oh my God, it slits her nipple open. I'm not sure what went down immediately after because I wasn't there for it. But because you sign a waiver to get into the zoo, they didn't get in trouble. I'm sure they had a great fun trying to get the ring back off him. Don't wear piercings around animals. I love, like, I mean, it's awful, but I do love hearing all these, like, animal piercing horror stories because I've had so many now. We have, like, cats and dogs and parrots and rats, a cotamodi, whatever they call it, can't even speak. I've been to zoos before, and I've been to London Zoo here, and I've kept my piercings in and stuff, but, like, I would never go near an animal that can, like, climb on you. Like, obviously just walking around and, you know, looking at the lions and tigers and all that kind of stuff is very different. But if you're going to go into an enclosure where you're going to handle animals, especially ones that are like monkey-esque style things or things that will climb on you, why would you, like, I don't get why you'd think that. I don't know. It just seems insane. Like, don't. Like, just don't. Like, I would never do that kind of stuff. Okay, so my friends and I went to a mall and she told me she was going to get Starbucks. She asked me what I wanted and left. I was sitting on one of those indoor benches. Little did I know she was going to get Starbucks, but went to Claire's first. She thought I wouldn't notice anything. You know what's coming, girl. I mean, many ideas are coming through my mind. She was going to get her ears pierced at Claire's. She told me everything was going fine until they were piercing her left ear. The piercing gun got stuck in her ear, of course it did. And the worker accidentally pulled a little hard and ripped out of her ear. Oh, ripped her whole earlobe. Are you kidding me? See, no training. She was screaming in pain and there was blood everywhere. It was now 30 minutes of me waiting, so I went to see if I could find her. I was walking past Claire's, but heard someone screaming and crying. Me being nosy. I relate to being nosy, girl. I'm a nosy ass bitch. Me being nosy, I looked up and it was my friend. sitting there in the chair crying. I rushed in there and asked her what the hell was she doing. She had to have stitches and got a very bad infection from the gun. She told me she has now learned her lesson and wouldn't do something so ludicrous ever again. Love you and your videos. Thank you for the comment, girl. Oh my God, are you serious? Like, what the hell? I couldn't imagine someone doing that again. Like, I'm gonna go get us some Starbucks. Just stay here. And then like 30 minutes later, they're not here. And you're like, what? Have you got lost, girl? What's going on? Did Starbucks kidnap you? And then you go past Claire's. You just suddenly hear some like screeching and you realize it's your friend who's had like a piercing horror story. Like, what the hell? What was she thinking? Like, why would she not tell you? Is it because you'd tell her not to do it? Like, that's insane. And the fact that they like the person like ripped her ear open. Disgusting. I burped then. Disgusting. Like I said, Claire's people are not trained piercers. Here's my piercing horror story. So long time ago, my mum wanted to get my ears pierced at, you guessed it, Claire's. We don't love to see it. And keep in mind, I was very little, probably like 3 years old. Oh my God. And during the healing process, my mum was reading the instructions that they gave us, and she read it wrong and pulled out one of my piercings too early. So now I have a hard time putting my earrings in. Putting earrings in one of my ears. What? So this is one of the main problems I do have when parents get their kids pierced at such a young age. When you're literally like 3 years old, like there is no, like you cannot really communicate to a 3-year-old not to touch it. Like you could say like, don't touch it, don't do that kind of stuff. But ultimately, it's your responsibility to look after this piercing. You cannot expect the child to do anything or to know anything because they cannot comprehend at 3 years old how to look after a piercing. The fact that the mother did this, like I'm not trying to trash your mum, but like the fact that it's really irresponsible. How many more stories of this, of like the parents who just couldn't be bothered to look after a piercing, or the parents who did it wrong, or the parents who, like, you know, because it's their responsibility to look after it, not yours. And I don't know. Don't pierce your children when they're that young. Like, you don't need piercings until they're old enough to actually understand what's happening in the process and, like, you know, the healing process and how to look after it. They shouldn't be getting it done. Here's my horror story. When I was 13, I wanted a cartilage piercing, but my mum refused to pay for it. She assured me that doing it with a gun in our kitchen would be just as good as going to a piercer. All was fine, but then 3 days later, it started hurting really bad. And my mum said I probably knocked it in my sleep or something. Oh, okay, so it's your fault. So I left it alone. Fast forward a couple weeks, and it's still really, really sore. So I asked my mum to take a look at it for me. She tells me that she couldn't see the back of the earring anymore. We spent almost an hour trying to get it out without hurting me too much, and ended up with me crying on the floor because my mum decided she was just gonna rip it out the back of my ear without telling me. It hurt so much I bled a ton, and oh my, I can't. This is like, it's ridiculous. Like, I can't even finish the story. This is I can't. It's unhinged. I don't get why these parents seem to think they have this like God complex where they know everything and they know everything's right. I know how to do this, so I'm going to do it for you, although you're not a trained piercer because you know nothing about piercings. You're like, I'm just going to do it myself because I don't want to pay for it, and you don't know any better. And then it's like, well, the only reason it's swelling is because you obviously knocked it in your sleep because it's your fault, and now they just ripped it out the back of their ear because it's just irresponsible. This is awful. It's just irresponsible. It's just disgusting. When I was about 2021, I had gone and got a dermal piercing on my chest. I loved it. Everything healed fine, had it for years, but I used loofahs when I showered. Oh God, I know exactly what you're going to say. This is going to be the same as like a nipple pierce. Oh, no. The loofah wrapped around the piercing and I didn't notice. Pulling hard on it, it felt like my soul was sucked out of me. It hurt so badly as time went on. It started to grow out. So half of the part that's under my skin was sticking out, but it wouldn't grow out any further. Instead of going to the doctors or a piercer, I ended up just taking a knife and slowly scraping away at the skin until the dermal popped out. Luckily, I didn't scar too badly, but you can't even notice it. P.S. I love watching your videos. You're fantastic. Thank you, girl. I cannot believe you got a knife and just scraped it out of your body. What the hell? I can't even imagine how like painful that would have been to like literally scrape it out yourself. I'm so glad that it hasn't really left you with marks on like your body now. So that's at least 1+. Honestly, nipple piercings and dermals, all that stuff with like loofahs, if that gets wrapped around it and you pull, it does honestly feel like your soul is being sucked out your body. Your soul has left your body. It is so painful, unbelievably painful. So be so careful with dermal piercings, you know, any sort of like eyebrow piercings, anything where you're going to use like a loofah or where you like do like lots of cleaning, like rubbing, like proper stuff. Like I can't, like facial piercings, because you know, you exfoliate your face and stuff. Bashing the microphone. You exfoliate your face and stuff. Like sometimes I've knocked like my eyebrow piercing when I had my eyebrow piercing done. Like no. Ouch, girl. I'm 17 now. When I was 15, I got my industrial and some other ear piercings. At 16, I got my septum and side lip pierced, all professionally. A year later, they'd healed perfectly, so I decided to get another piercing, an eyebrow piercing. I went to the same place, but apparently my normal piercer was on emergency sick leave. I trusted the place, and so did my mother, so we decided to go and do it anyway. See, I always get like, so I will never go to any other piercer now other than Veronica. My piercer, Veronica Blades, incredible. Everything she's done for me has been flawless. I've never had any problems. And the idea of going to other piercer now just fills me with so much anxiety. I sat down for the piercing and the lady marked the dots. I agreed with the placement. On went the clamps and I started to take a deep breath in and close my eyes. I have a fear of needles and severe anxiety, but I don't scream or anything when getting pierced because I'm not a wuss. Oh, we love to see it. Now for the bad part, prepare yourself. They put the needle through on top of my eyebrow and way too quickly went through. She poked a hole in my eyelid. Needless to say, she punctured the membrane around the eye. I literally don't know how you can mess up that bad. We rushed to the ER. My eyeball was bleeding, and luckily it only went on my eyes first. God, I can't. Sorry, I'm like struggling to read it because I'm like so triggered. And luckily, it was only my eye's first layer, not my cornea or something vital. I could still see through it today, thank God. Oh my God, that's horrendous. So she pierced the top downwards. I mean, I've only ever seen people pierce eyebrows like from the bottom up. I've never seen it go top down. But like, she did it top down and then they pierced your eyelid? What were they doing? Were they high? That's insane. I would sue. I mean, you have signed a waiver, so I don't think you can. Most piercing studios will make you sign a waiver to be like, you are liable. If something happens, it's your fault. Like, you know, all that stuff. But like, I would still be like, this is beyond an accident. Like, this is like too far where like you've had to go to ER because the piercer stabbed your eyeball. Hi, so I have a pretty awful horror story. So when I was 16, my friend had gotten her nose pierced and I immediately wanted to get mine done. I asked her where she got it done and she referred me to her cousin. She said she would bring me to get mine done and it would be super cheap. I didn't know a whole lot about piercings, but I knew that being pierced with a needle was way better. We love to see it. Yes. I asked my friend if the piercer used needles, and my friend told me she did. So we went to her cousin, who just so happened to work at a hairdresser. I immediately got bad vibes. When I got in the salon, I asked the piercer once again if she'd be using a needle. Her response was, yes, absolutely. The piercer marked it and then told me to close my eyes because she said it made it less painful. Lies you tell. And when she pierced it, I noticed she used a gun. That's absolutely horrendous. I was fuming once I left. I left the piercing in to see how long it would last. Within 2 hours, it was already rejecting out my body. I immediately let it close up and re-pierced it later on, but I was so angry. I can't believe they did that. Like, what the hell? The fact that they, like, lied to you and said that they will be using a needle and then said, close your eyes, and then they pierced it with a gun, and you were like... What? I mean, half of me is like, I'm not sure how you didn't notice. I'm a bit kind of like, I'm not sure how you didn't, because like you would feel the gun going in your nose because it's quite a large thing to put in your nose. Like the inside of it would have like pushed it, like maybe you thought it was a clamp. I don't know. That's a strange story, but I can't believe that happened. Like what what? Vile people. Vile. Piercing horror story. I got my second low piercings done in icing back in the early 2000s. Claire's company targeted towards older teens. And although the studs were gold, the backings were cheap mixed metal butterfly clips. Within days, my ears were so swollen and pussy because of those clips, and my left had started to swallow the backing. My mum had to remove it with pliers. I was stubborn and wanted to keep the piercings. So after we got them cleaned up, I put old piercing studs from my previous piercings in and managed to get them to heal. You managed to heal that. Wow. The fact that they swollen up and like eaten the bar and you still managed to get it to heal. You must have a good body, girl. And this is the thing, like when you pierce ears with these like studs, but they have like the butterfly clips in, like they have zero space for swelling. They're not made for it. Like if you have a completely healed piercing and you want to use one, do you know what? Live your life, girl. I still wouldn't do it. I would still use barbells. But if you want to use a butterfly clip, stud, whatever, you know, live your life, girl. But at least wait for it to be healed because it can handle it then because your ear's not swollen. But like when you get it pierced with it, your ear just swells. And it's so common for these butterfly clips to be like eaten by the ear. Anyway, guys, I'm well and truly aboard the trigger train, speeding down the road. We're about to clash over a cliff and plunge to my death. A bad bitch. Choo, 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 choo. Trot along, bitch. I don't say trot along, bitch very much more. Trot along, bitch. We're going to bring it back. Hi, guys. Hello. So thank you to everyone who has shared their stories. As always, please comment down below your own piercing horror story and maybe we'll be in the next video. And as always, you can repost the same story that you may have already posted in an old video that I might not have read out. So please re-comment it down below and maybe you'll get in the next video. Hit the like button, notification bell, subscribe. Come and follow me on Twitch. I'm going to be live on tomorrow, actually. So come follow me on Twitch. Lots of streams going on there. This is a lot, girl. Amazing. I love it. Like, honestly, I actually really enjoy doing these. Like, hearing your stories is so cool. Also awful, but cool at the same time. Thank you, guys. Lots of love. Be proud, amazing, be gay, be everything you want to be. And don't let any bitches say that you can't be you. Why is that? Because you are flawless. Oh, I messed that one up a bit then. Ugh.